Alrighty guys, welcome to the channel. So today I'm working on my 2002 Chevy Avalanche doing a motor swap in it. I just want to let you know that if you haven't been tracking, this is a fourth part to the series, and today we should be starting the actual motor today. So what we got going on, I left you off yesterday. I had the spark plugs in, pretty much everything was like ready to go. So I just pulled the spark plugs back out because we need to pull a valve cover, and then we need to go ahead and crank it over and see what happens. So I'm gonna go and flip you guys around and I'll explain what I'm about to do. Alrighty, so just pulled the spark plugs out. As you can see, they are right there. Right there. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is pop off, I think, the driver's side valve cover. Started and everything's hooked up. I need to put the battery up still. And then we're gonna pop on the intake manifold just so it has a MAF reading. It doesn't freak the computer out too much. Other than that, that's about it. So the idea right now is just there's oil in it, there's coolant in it. I just wanna make sure that there's actual oil pressure building, or I can see some oil spurting out of the valve cover before I try and actually crank it over. So the idea is mostly to prime it, but also make sure everything's working. It should. It's all new parts, new oil pump, and all that fun stuff. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. So I'm gonna go and pop off this valve cover. We'll also get to take a look inside of this valve cover. I personally did not do the rebuild on this motor. I bought it rebuilt, so we'll see what the inside looks like. It's all used parts for the most part as far as the valve train is concerned. Just a quick refresh, so it's probably not going to be immaculate, but I am curious to see what it looks like. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pop this valve cover off. It's pretty easy, just 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts right there, and then we'll go ahead and see what she looks like. All right, so I went ahead and popped off the valve cover. As you can see, that's the valve train. Valve cover is pretty much, looks like it was wiped out with something or other. Not a big deal. So the way the oil spurts up here is it actually comes out of each of the ends of each rocker arm. So there's a little hole in the push rod and it gets shot up and comes out through there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just set the valve cover on top of it because I really don't want oil squirting all the way up at here if I can help it. Then we're going to go ahead and pop on the intake manifold, hook up the battery, and go ahead and give it a little bit of a crank. So it shouldn't take too much to get some oil pressure up. The oil filter is full of oil, as I was saying. I'm just going to give it, I don't know, maybe a second or two of key time. Remember, injectors are not plugged in, so there's no fuel going in there. Spark plugs are out, so there's no compression, just to kind of get the oil flowing in the motor. So that's the plan. Alrighty, battery's hooked up. Pretty much everything is ready to go. That valve cover is loose and just hanging there. So I guess this is not the big moment, but a big moment for me. The first time this thing's getting legit power. I'm feeling a little sketch, but I've minded all my P's and Q's, and let's hope everything works out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you to the cabin and we'll just go ahead and go through this. Alrighty. Super sketchy. Got power. Oh boy. Actually, that's what I want to check. See if there's any fuel leaking. Nope. Fuel pump is on here. I don't see any fuel leaking because I did take those off, so that's good. All right, I'm nervous. Send it. Ooh, oil pressure gauge rose a hair. Might just because I turned it off though. Let's see what we got. Still bone dry, so nothing yet. That's to be expected though. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this a few more times and see if we can't get some oil coming out of here. Well, as always, there's some setbacks. So I did it about 6 times, a little cycle you just saw earlier, and I was not able to get oil to come out of the valve cover. So what I'm fairly confident happened is the oil pump was primed at one point, which is good. You need it to be primed. I'm pretty sure I unprimed it when I was putting the torque converter on because I had to rotate the motor to get the bolts to line up. And as a result, I did hear a trickling in the oil pan when I was doing that. So I'm fairly confident that what I did is I unprimed the oil pump, and with nothing in the pan, it didn't have anything to suck up, therefore it didn't, do anything. Which is super irritating, but I mean, it is what it is. So I looked up the video from Melling. The way to prime their oil pump is there's a galley plug in the side of the motor down there, which I'm currently taking this bracket off again. I'm going to undo that plug. They say to stick a hose in there, put about 8 ounces of oil in it, let it sit for a couple minutes, pull it out, replug it, and then try it again. So that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I'm unplugging. So I just did undo the 3 bolts on here. I got one more bolt down there to take care of. That one right there, actually, as you can barely see it. And then the one on the very bottom of this bracket to remove the bracket. I need to remove the bracket because the little galley plug is directly behind the power steering pump, and I can't get to it with the pump in the way. So it is what it is, guys. Not as smoothly as I was hoping this would go, but you know what? It's just, got to take them as they come. I got to make sure there's actually oil getting around this motor before I start it. Otherwise, I'll have way worse problems on my hands than just taking off this bracket. So that's currently what's going on right now. I'm gonna try and show you that valley plug now that this is loose. So down in there, let's see. That little thing that, well, I can't quite tell where it is in this picture. There we go. That guy right there is the galley plug I'm trying to get to. So I gotta pull that out, stick a tube in there, and fill it with oil. That's pretty much what the directions say. So that's what I'm working on right now, guys. It is what it is. Alrighty, so as per Melling's instructions, I got a piece of, I believe it's 3/8 fuel line, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check, but I got it with my oil catch can kit, so it'll be fine. And I went ahead and threaded it into the hole. I had to trim my edges down just a hair to make them skinny enough to fit. And then I started twisting and it caught threads and just went ahead and screwed in there. So now we're gonna go ahead and get our oil, pour some, just pour out 8 ounces in there, let it sit for like 5 minutes, pull it out. It's probably gonna drip a little bit, put the plug back in, and hopefully we'll have oil pressure in this thing. So let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens. Alrighty, so I got a little bit of an elaborate rig going on here, but this is my pipe. I went ahead and hose clamped it to the end of my fluid pump. I've used this pump for tons of stuff. Diff fluid mostly, and then trans fluid. Anyway, so we got an AMSOIL braking oil here, and comes at a little over 28 ounces. Looks like it's about 30 ounces in here. So we're gonna bring it down to the 20, probably around the 24 mark. And that'll be what we need. So I have a drip pan under there just in case it does explode on me. So here we go. And hopefully it doesn't explode down there. So the idea is the oil pump really can't suck if it's totally dry. It needs some kind of lubrication to get some stuff moving. So that's why we're doing this. Keep an eye on where we are down there. Make sure we don't have any crazy issues, such as the pipe exploding out or whatever. So far, so good. Let's see where we're at. So we're at 24. Now I already know there's 6 quarts in here, so there's going to be a little bit extra. It's not going to hurt anything. One more pump. There, that should be more than enough to prime it. We're just going to go ahead and let this sit here for a couple minutes, and hopefully this will gravity feed the rest of the way in. And catch you guys in a minute. So as you can see, I cracked the hose a little bit to let some air in, and our level is going down pretty rapidly. So I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for probably about 5 minutes, pull out the plug, and then hopefully we'll be good to go. Yeah, still in there. I don't see any drips or anything. So hopefully this is the trick, and then plug it back up and send it and see what happens. All right, so finally got oil pressure. When I jumped up to, when I was at cold cranking it up to, I did it for about 10 seconds, took a little while longer. Got to come out of the back push rod there. I stopped before it started going everywhere. In theory, it'll come out of the rest once you get it going. A little more oil pressure builds up for the rest of them. So I mean, I'm satisfied there's oil flowing throughout the motor at least. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this back on, throw it together, see what happens. I did a good amount of research on the forums and everything, looking around to see what everyone else did. Most people just fill it with oil and fire it up and it's fine. So, I mean, hopefully that's what'll happen here. Throw it together, and I mean, there's really nothing else I can do about it. So fingers crossed everything works out. I just wanted to see at least something come out of the top to show that I do have oil pressure, which is good. So from here on out, put it back together, throw the plugs in, and then do our 30-minute little test run to see how this works. So unfortunately, it got a little late on me today. At least the oil pressure issue is resolved, so I know I'm good there. I went ahead and put on the coil packs and plugged in the injectors. Spark plugs are in. All I got to do is add the plug wires. But that's going to be tomorrow for me. That'll be next clip for you guys. It's one of those things. I mean, I got other stuff to do today, unfortunately. And as much as I'm really anxious to get this thing going, I need to make sure I take my time and I have time to actually work on it once it goes. So once it starts up, it's got to stay running for a bit. So anyway, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Well, afternoon, whenever I get off. Alrighty, guys, so just the next day, as you can see, I went ahead and got the plug wires popped in. I think that's literally everything. I topped off the coolant. It was a little low. It looks like somewhat settled, which is fine. I guarantee it's going to go even lower as soon as this thing starts up. But, I mean, as you can see, I think the big moment is here, guys. So, we had oil pressure, just running over everything. Everything's plugged up, torqued down, that I can remember. Big keyword that I can remember. Who knows if I forgot something, but we're going to find out, I guess. So, without further ado, I'm going to hop over to the driver's side and see what happens. So the idea is to run this at 30 minutes at around 2,500 to 3,000 RPM to seat the rings. Change the oil because there's going to be a bunch of new bearing material coming off those, all the new bearings and everything. Fresh oil, braking oil. Run it for 500 miles, change it again with standard oil. So that's what we're going to do. All right. I guess here goes nothing. Whoop, she's up. We have all the oil pressure. Definitely a sound coming from down there. I don't know what that is. Let's give her some gas. Something's squeaking, doesn't sound too happy. So we can figure out what that is. A little bit of burning off is going on over here. Sounds like it might be a valve. I'll go ahead and kill this. I think I'm going to pull a valve cover real quick. Alright, so unfortunately, it looks like that push rod, all the push rods except for that one that originally spurted oil, are looking bone dry. And there's some steam coming out of some orifice. That's to be expected. But I'm not cool with why the rest of these push rods are not ejecting oil like that one in the back is. So I'll pull off the other side and check it out. But that could be a serious problem, and I'll need to look into exactly what's up. So I'm glad I stopped it when I did, because that could have been very bad if it kept going. All of them have a hair play in it, except for this one on the end is very, very stiff. So hopefully I didn't just destroy that rocker arm. I don't know, guys. So this is one of the nerve-wracking bits. I'm going to check the other side real quick. Alright, so kind of concerning. Same deal over here. It looks like that one was getting some oil on it. That one right there. And then that one right there in the back. That's a lot less than we're supposed to be having oil on them. So, I mean, you can kind of see how it's supposed to happen. Oil is supposed to spurt out of that hole right there, hit the valve cover, and just kind of drape itself down the rest of the rocker. So that's not good. That's definitely not good. I need to go look into what can cause that, why it might be like that, and what's going on. So that's what I'm about to go do. Hopefully it's an easy fix. I mean, I'd hate to have to pull a head off this thing, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Alright, so a little update. Still haven't put anything back together yet or tried to run it again. However, I went ahead and got into contact with the guy who previously built this, who built this motor. And then I also did a bunch of research. So apparently it actually takes a hot minute for oil to make it all the way up every single one of these push rods to get up to the top end. And what you're supposed to do is make sure everything has plenty of oil on it to kind of stave it off until oil gets up there. So when I took this off, these are pretty much bone dry. They've just been sitting for, you know, maybe a month or two now which is more than enough time for it to drop and dry off. So I don't think I heard anything. 30 seconds isn't bad enough, and it's not really a vital area. I do have plenty of oil pressure coming through the gauge. I know that's a good gauge because it reads on my old motor, and it's pretty fresh. So I went ahead and soaked everything in oil. I took the 5W30, which is what goes in here. Put about 2 capfuls worth of oil on top of each rocker arm to make sure everything got nice and lubed. Did the same thing on the other side. So what we're going to do is throw the valve cover back on, hopefully not freak out, and start it up again and see how it goes. So in theory, it should be fine. As long as oil is getting everywhere else, which it sounds like it is, there's no catastrophically weird noises coming out. Just gotta let the motor break in and suck it up. So that's the plan, and that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. If I hear anything catastrophically that sounds terrible, then I'm probably gonna turn it off again and check it out. But I mean, it is what it is. This is just the sketchy part of everything. There's all this work, you know what I mean? And it's all for this moment. So go ahead and throw it back together and see what happens. All right, well, she's all buttoned up again. I guess here goes nothing. We're gonna get some smoke, so I dripped some oil on the header, so I'm expecting that. But other than that, we should be good to go, allegedly. Let's send it. All right. Nothing blew up. Oh, got a service light. See what that's about real quick. P0300. Don't know what that is. Alright, so P0300 means there's a misfire coming from one of the cylinders. Probably means I didn't push on a plug wire tight enough, or something's not plugged in right. So I'm gonna go check over my wires real quick and double check my coolant level real quick. I hate starting it off, starting it back up, but really want to try and make sure we don't have anything crazy happen. Alright, I'm gonna let's see what this engine light's all about. Blinking is usually a misfire, so something might still be up with this. Well, we're burning off that oil right there that I spilled. Other than that, I mean, sounds pretty quiet, nothing crazy. See anything visibly out of whack, but I don't know yet. Looks like our blinking light went away, so I'm gonna go ahead and rev it up again and see what happens. Still there. All right, let's see what's up. Yeah, same spot. Just want to make sure that's actually what's burning up over there. Just looking around to see what's up. Possibly me twisting that plug wire is having a problem, so I'm going to untwist that real quick. We'll get back at it. Alrighty, so we just went ahead and turned it off. That was this 30-minute braking period. Still pretty toasty. Didn't get any low coolant lights. Fairly confident my coolant level's where it's supposed to be. I'll need to double check it though just to make sure once it cools off. Getting a mid-range some kind of misfire code in the RPMs around 2,500. If I go up to 3,000, it goes away. If I'm on my idle and 1,500, it goes away. Not sure what that's about. I did replace the plug, so it might be a plug gap issue, or one of the plug wires isn't plugged in correctly, or something along those lines. So I need to look into that a little more. But I'm going to go ahead and do the oil change while the motor's hot, get all that crap out of there, refill it with more braking oil, and then it's 500 miles till the next change. The only other mildly, I don't want to say concerning yet, but mildly something to think about, is the motor was hanging out at idle after it was hot. It would come down to about 30 psi of oil pressure, which I'm used to seeing on my last motor, which stuck around 40. Usually a little higher than 40 with this oil pressure gauge. For whatever reason, it seemed to be pretty high. So I am mildly concerned about that. Again, it could just be, I don't know, in all honesty. We'll just have to see what this motor is and how it likes and what it likes. However, I didn't hear any weird funky sounds coming out of the motor. I didn't really feel any vibrations from a potential misfire, so I'm not sure where that's coming from yet. I'll have to check out each cylinder. There's a tool you can use, basically a thermometer, and you put it up to each exhaust port, and you can tell that way which one is not firing. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I also got a code for the rear O2 sensor, or sorry, NOx sensor being out, which is super irritating because that was the issue I chased down the last motor. I'm almost wondering if it's my harness more than the NOx sensors at this point. However, I think probably tomorrow I'll pull the intake manifold off and just put in my sensors and harness, because I know that one works, and hopefully get rid of whatever problem that might be. Yeah, guys, definitely putting oil on the valve lifters or whatever got rid of that weird noise, that squeak I was talking about that you heard earlier. I really think that it probably just needed time to get oil up there, so it didn't come back, which is telling me it's probably fine. Again, I can't pull anything off right now, it's too hot. So I'm going to hop down, change the oil out, and I'll show you what that looks like, and then refill it. And, I don't know, might be done dicking around with it for the day. I'm not sure yet, we'll see. Anyway, guys, that's the update so far. You can see it's pissing out. Definitely darker than when it went in, but I mean, that's to be expected. It sounds like water. That's some, I don't know. Seems like very light viscosity when it's hot. Hey guys, there she is. So, we'll go ahead and finish this. And then we'll refill it, change out the filter, and call it good. Yeah, there's something in there, so that's all bearing wear and crap from the fresh break-in. Just put our 6 quarts of fresh oil in there, so it's topped off. That little bit I had to borrow out of the one bottle for the priming procedure earlier, I went ahead and replaced with just regular 5W30. It should be fine. I'm going to let this go through a few cycles before I really try and do anything crazy as far as diagnosing that misfire which keeps popping up. I'm not 100% sure where that's coming from, as I was saying, so I need to go ahead and really get that temperature gun and see exactly which cylinder it is. Again, it could be anything from a spark plug, or it could be maybe a coil isn't hooked in right. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's really hard to tell with these things. They're not very scientific, you know what I mean? Just it goes on or it doesn't. So other than that, I'm going to go ahead and we can put the old oil in the stuff. I want to show you this. So you can see in there's quite a bit of cloud going on. That's not reflection. That's all squiggly lines are, I'm assuming, either debris or something else in the oil, but it's what it is. That's the whole point of breaking oil and why you do it after 30 minutes and don't run that stuff forever. So the next one's going to be in 500 miles. I'm probably going to go take the truck for a drive just because I haven't driven it in over a month and a half now. And I just want to see how it feels and see what's up. So until then, 500 miles later, we'll see what happens. That's not going to conclude this series. I'm still trying to work out all the bugs. Once the bugs are worked out, that'll conclude the motor build series. All right, start her up for the second time now, really. About freaked out there with oil pressure, but we're good. It's about where she's sitting cold. So I'm gonna go for a ride. We'll get back and I guess we'll see where everything sits. Well, we're cruising around. I mean, well, it's still kind of cold, so oil pressure seems like a little lower than it normally is. However, everything else, I mean, so far so good. So oil pressure's still up there, which is great. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna have to go on a longer drive one of these days. I'm just kind of cruising around right now. But yeah, so far so good, guys. So far so good. All right, so engine light came back on. That's for the P032 code, which is a NOx sensor. So it's something I got to get. I'm probably just going to pull the intake manifold, grab my NOx sensors off my motor, and then throw it onto this one. I guess they're both my motor, but you know the one that I just pulled. Other than that, guys, I mean, oil pressure is about normal. That being said, I don't know if it's going to stay there or not. That was just a very short drive, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, it's looking pretty good. Other than that, guys, I mean, we're just going to let it go. Well, I guess we'll change it in 500 miles. I got to clean up my truck, though. I absolutely trashed this thing when I was working in here. I still got to put the dust shield back on, top cover. And yeah, so she needs a good clean. It is what it is, though. Looking at gauges, I mean, my RPM gauge is off. I don't know why. It's been like that since I bought the truck. It's probably a stepper motor or something else going out stupid. But it idles right at 550 RPMs, give or take. Engine temp 202. Once it's idling for a bit, it's normal as it gets up there. Once I was driving around, it was staying around 190, 192, 193, which is normal. Transmission temp is normal. So, I mean, all in all, guys, I think everything's going to be all right. Just a few bugs to work out, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm pretty stoked. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and this might be the end of the engine build series, and then we'll just kind of continue on with little videos here and there on the truck to knock out small things. Other than that, though, I mean, we're just about done. It drove around. If anything catastrophic happens, you'll be the first to know, because I kind of want to keep you guys updated on how this goes. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things. It's interesting to say the least. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video. By all means, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.